If you are a powerful woman and a highly empathetic woman, and you find yourself supporting everyone else in the room and quietly wondering who's got your back, this conversation is for you. Let me start with a pattern that I have observed over and over again. Many of the powerful women I know are also the most exhausted. And this is not because they are lacking strength. It's because they care deeply and they protect themselves too little. Let me start. Many of these women are highly empathetic. They are deeply perceptive, they are very intuitive, they care deeply, and they are emotionally intelligent. But there is one pattern that quietly drains their power: empathy without boundaries. And today I want to talk about how this pattern can slowly but surely diminish the power of these women, of these highly empathetic women, also high capacity women. I want to talk about it not because empathy is weakness, but because empathy without structure becomes self-abandonment. Empathy is a great quality. It helps us connect with people more deeply. It allows us to access compassion for people, and it really is a great quality. Hi, Oliver. It really is a great quality for humans to develop. But highly empathetic people feel these connections and these feelings and these compassion and understanding of other people's emotions very deeply, very intensely. And that means that they can notice tone, um, and whatever the tone conveys, they can notice unspoken tension, they can read body language. This takes energy, processing all this information. And it sometimes triggers us into thinking that because we feel all these things and we have all this information, that there is something that we should be doing. But that is a trap, because feeling everything doesn't mean that you are responsible to regulate or help or hold the space for everyone around you. And this is something that I want you to become more aware of, because oftentimes we get easily triggered, and at this deeper emotional level, and we feel like there's something that we could be doing to make the situation better. And this is where the problem is, because empathy can also be a trap. So, as I said earlier, empathy without a structure becomes self-abandonment, because when you are connected to other people at that deep level, you lose connection with yourself. And somehow you offer yourself as an instrument to improve the situation around you. And even though this could be considered a great thing to do, I'm talking to you as the highly empathetic person that is willingly and sometimes without realizing giving huge amounts of your energy to support other people without even questioning if that is actually what you want to be doing. So feeling everything around you doesn't mean that you are responsible for holding everything around you. And yet, very often, many highly sensitive women fall into this pattern unconsciously, and without even realizing it and asking themselves if that is really what they want to be doing, they find themselves over-giving, over-compromising, explaining themselves too much, charging for their work too little, overstaying their commitment in relationships that are not really healthy for them, and the list goes on. So this is something that you want to be paying attention to, because between what you feel and how you respond, there is agency to be taken into consideration. And only when you are fully conscious that what you're doing is really what you want to be doing, that's when your empathy, it's really the highest expression of how much you care for others. So here's the truth. Many highly empathetic, high capacity women burn out, not because they are weak. It's not because they are lacking strength. It's because they are actually strong enough to carry too much. So why does this pattern form? Well, very often it starts in childhood. Highly sensitive children will notice everything around them, and they will quietly observe and try to fit in, try to bring harmony, try to be the one that doesn't cause problems, the one that can easily adapt. And they get attention because of that. They start to learn that that is a good role, a safe role for them to play, to be really paying attention to everyone else around and offer what they actually expect. And for some of us, people pleasing was our way of surviving childhood. But and it was a good way, it was a successful way to position yourself in certain family dynamics in a way that you could get value out of what you were doing. So people would like you because you were easy going and because you were understanding and thoughtful. So that is, a good way to build your self-esteem. But what served you during childhood can very easily limit you during adulthood, because you might find yourself afraid to explore your true potential. You might find yourself used to not asking for what you really want, because you don't want to bring this harmony into relationships. But again, what served some of us during childhood can very easily limit us during adulthood. And I want to bring your attention to that, because for many people, for many highly empathetic women, this is something that they just do, and they don't really analyze it. They don't really see what this actually brings into their adult life, the consequences of it. So empathy as a survival strategy during childhood uh, can be sometimes the only way to make it into adulthood. But adulthood requires something empathy alone doesn't offer, and that is containment. It requires you to set clear limits, clear boundaries. And that is not something that comes natural with empathy. It's something that you have to intentionally decide and learn to do. So containment means getting clear about where you end and another person's emotions begin, what belongs to you and what belongs to them. And also being able to stay connected to yourself when you are so deeply connected to others. So empathy without boundaries, without containment, becomes emotional entanglement. I hope I'm saying this right. So everything is kind of like too interconnected, and it's hard to know what belongs to you, what belongs to them. What is it that they want? What is it that you want? And so containment is a very valuable skill. It is the structure that's going to make your empathy a true superpower, not just for everybody else, but also for you. And ask yourself if this is really something that happens to you in your life. And if you have a tendency to lose clarity about what it is that you want when you are so deeply connected to everybody else's needs, then you are clearly using your empathy without containment, without structure. And that's why you lose clarity. And not only that, you also lose your energy. And it can be very debilitating, because you are constantly using your energy to make sense of everything that's happening around you, and also offer yourself to create harmony around you. This is something that you have to know that you're doing, so that you have some power over it, some choice over it. When we lose clarity, we may be making decisions that are not really what we want. So it affects our financial growth, maybe, our ability to negotiate, our energy resources, our nervous system, how healthy it is, our nervous system. And that is huge for our health. It can also cost us in our relationship, the quality of our relationships and the kind of relationships that we want. And also it can diminish us in terms of leadership, in terms of guiding others and sharing our powerful insights and visions with other people, because we may downplay ourselves to create harmony. However, harmony without boundaries, it really isn't harmony. It is self-abandonment. It's self-neglect. Is that something that you want to be doing? Because that's really the cost of it. And even though other people might think that you're a wonderful person because of your empathy, the question here, what I want to bring to your attention here today, is how you actually feel because of that. Is it serving you? Is it not? And again, I'm not saying that empathy is the problem. What I want to be saying, what I want to offer to you, is that empathy without structure, without containment, without boundaries, can actually become a problem, because it's going to take too much of your energy and too much of your clarity and too much of your agency. And we need all that. We need all that as adults to live our lives the way we really want. So here's the shift that I want to offer to you. And that is to really embrace your empathy, to embrace your capacity for high empathy, but to develop your sovereignty. And what do I mean by that? When your empathy is a structure, it becomes sovereign sensitive leadership. And sovereign sensitivity means you no longer treat empathy as an obligation, you treat it as information. So you have some choice in the matter. You have all that information coming in, and because you are intentionally showing up as a sovereign sensitive leader, then you choose how you want to be using that information, how involved you want to be. So that's really all it takes, is for you to become a sovereign sensitive person. Not that you grow a thicker skin, not that you become tired of being empathetic and go the opposite direction. None of that. We are simply becoming more aware of what it is that we need to do so that our high empathy becomes an asset and not a liability. I want to read this because it really is important, and I hope it makes sense to you. I hope it resonates. So we're treating empathy as information, and you can sense what others feel without taking responsibility for fixing everything around you. You learn to ask yourself, is this mine to carry, or is it someone else's responsibility? Boundaries do not reduce your compassion, they refine it. When empathy is grounded in boundaries, you feel deeply, but you do not collapse into others' emotions. You stay grounded, you stay connected to yourself. You care without abandoning yourself, and this is huge. You support others, you still support others, but you do it without sacrificing your clarity or your energy in the process. And what happens is something beautiful. When we do this, our empathy becomes truly impactful. It is our greatest source of influence on other people, because we care about how they feel about what's going on in their lives. And that is very powerful. We truly care. But we're also caring about ourselves at the same time. So we can discern how deep we want to go into whatever it is that's happening. Or actually, if we have to be involved at all. Is it their responsibility, or are we trying to rescue them? Because when we try to rescue people, we are also disempowering them. So real influence it's very powerful, and it is very well received by other people, and it's also very nourishing for you. And the only difference between real influence and impactful, wholehearted leadership and just high empathy is the structure, the containment, your ability to discern and to stay connected to yourself so that you can decide how exactly you want to be showing up for others. Also, people love it when they know that you feel what they feel, but you're not overwhelmed by it. Because sometimes if somebody's upset around us and we are also upset, the other person is really not feeling supported. The other person is going to maybe be annoyed that we're picking up on their energy and mirroring it. So again, it's a much better influence over the other person when they know that you get where they're coming from and you get how they're feeling, but you're staying grounded. You're taking responsibility for how you feel, and you're giving them a space to feel how they feel. So this is again a very harmonious way of being with someone. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, you're not broken. Sensitive women are not meant to shrink their empathy, their capacity for empathy. They are meant to lead with it, to become sovereign sensitive leaders because of it. And empathy is a great quality, but it was never meant to be used without boundaries. And that's just the real difference, really. Becoming more attuned to yourself in connection to other people to make better decisions, to ensure that you can be empathetic without losing your own energy, your own self in the process. The key here is to hold compassion for other people and self-respect at the same time. Because when you do that, your empathy doesn't drain you, it amplifies your power. If this conversation resonates with you, I invite you to book a clarity call with me. I also have a sovereign sensitive reset experience. The link is below in the description, and it is a guided meditation with original music and questions that invite you to journal and get more connected to your voice, to what it is that you want. I work with highly empathetic, high capacity women who feel ready to own their power and to turn their sensitivity into leadership. Leadership in their relationships, in their finances, in their energy, just to become really sovereigns of that sensitivity. Thank you for being here.